Hey everyone. Hi everyone. Oh gosh, it's like June 29th, I want to say. 29th maybe. And I'm on break from work, from rolling silverware, where I roll for 2 hours a day and I think about, my whole project and God and, you. And let's see. Well, I've been thinking about putting an online tool together where it basically can help recreate the process that I went through for any human being can do it. Sort of sketching that out. It'll be on a website or an app. I'm not sure. And I'm just sort of working through, what that means in terms of a user. And I think, what's going to happen is the user will have, the ability to set up an account, that it's a private account for them, but internally we can see it. The whole, the not the whole company, but or the whole community or whatever, nonprofit, whatever it's structured as, can view what you submit, and you can view what you submit. And you have, like on my journey, I had someone named Sean who I was able to send footage to on my journey. And I knew he would see it, or he could see it whenever he happened to pop in and kind of review the footage. And then, me knowing that he was seeing it, I'm like, as I'm sending him, like, oh man, I can't believe I fucking sent that, but I sent it anyway. And then he'd be like, okay, and he'd watch it and be like, okay, wow, I didn't realize, whatever. But he wouldn't judge me. I knew he had access to it, and eventually he'd look at it. Turns out he didn't really give a shit about it because he's got his own stuff going on. And for us, for the community, I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but the organization, we got a lot of stuff going on too. We send what you've got, great, we'll have access to it. But really, the account is for you to have access to and you to upload your footage. And the footage will be classified in different categories, confession, that's one type of video that you can film on your own and then upload to the community, or to your private account, sorry. Or coincidence, and then you can upload that, and then it'll be miracle and then you can upload that, or theophany, and you can upload that. Although the theophany shouldn't really, or maybe it won't be a category because you're only going to have one, I would think. Or maybe you'll have more, I don't know. But anyway, so you just sort of start uploading your footage, and there's two types, right? There's the first works, and then, there's two types of works. There's the works you're doing in your mind. It's kind of like your sort of digital journal, your video journal. And then as you sort of migrate from where you're at when you first set up the account all the way to your sort of euphoric self. And then your second works is if you're doing charity, I hooked someone up. Now you're not gonna film that, but you'll, I don't know if you need to record that at all. I mean, I know you're not gonna record the act, but is there something there? No, I don't know. I have to think about it, but I don't think so. No, there doesn't need to be any video footage related to that. It's just coincidence, miracle, or theophany. And the theophany's up in the air. Oh, or confession. Oh, and then storyline. Because your whole story, whatever events are happening. Maybe that's the best way to do it. But something like that. So, you can upload this footage and you can watch it yourself. And actually, anytime you upload a confession, you are it doesn't work unless you actually watch it yourself. So there's some mechanism where it's it proves that you actually watched it, although there's no point to set up the account unless you actually watch it. And then sort of there is an education piece to the site where it's explaining sort of the processes. There's a goal like our mission, our sort of like mission, and that involves, like saying, okay, well, it's been clearly established. I mean, this is fact that money doesn't buy happiness, but the question is like, what does, right? What makes someone you feel euphoric? And the idea is to replicate that sort of environment globally, that which allows for euphoria, with as little work as possible. And it sort of describes like how our goal is to have every single human being has to get like, when we finally achieve critical mass, and we take all the confessions, we just blast them all over the internet or whatever we end up doing, with everyone's consent. And that the legal piece is important too, which I'll get to in a minute. But it's you have to acquire 5 credits per week, and each credit takes 2 hours worth of work to get. And the idea is, because it's only 2 hours worth of work, well, the work's a lot more like task oriented. It's not what's the 2 hours worth of work that makes me the most money, because I don't need money. Because after I get my 5 credits, everything's free. Because you don't want to consume as much, because you've achieved euphoria without consuming. You see, right now with the money system and no euphoria, it's I need money so I can consume. So I can consume more shit. But it doesn't actually, buying stuff and making money, even though it has an effect in the system, the existing system. When you feel euphoric, you don't really give a shit about money at all, because it's just a matter of doing your first works, and then, it's a charity. This is gonna fucking go like wildfire, because we're gonna be brokering euphoria. Anyway, okay. So I'm just sorry. I'm like still thinking through these pieces. So it's about how can someone be able to travel around the world on their journey, but still get their 5 credits. How do you get your 5 credits per week, and stay mobile, if that's sort of where your journey is, or like if you need to stay in the same place, maybe you just work more than your big thing is. You like to, I don't know, make fucking whatever you want to do. Sculptures, it's like, well, I don't just work and make my sculptures. Of course, maybe you'd be making your sculptures after you get your 2 credits for the day. Anyway, the point is not to work as much, because we're not driven by a money-driven system. Anyway, so as you're uploading your storyline, I want to talk about the legalities. So the legalities are that you can send in any confession, anything you've ever done wrong. It doesn't matter, because there's privilege. You're sending it in confidence that it will not be released. It's for a religious belief. And the head rabbi or head imam or head priest or head, pastor or whatever is me. I don't know what the Hindu term is, but I'm the guy. So you're sending it to me and my organization, my community. Okay? And since I've gone through since I've gone through myself, and you can see all my confessions publicly, that I'm on the level. And when you send me yours, I know you're on the level. And no one fucks with this sort of like privilege, because it's protected under the First Amendment in the United States of America. And there are similar laws in other countries, but eventually, once we reach critical mass, it'll be legal in every country. Okay, so anyway, and the legal component is it's First Amendment protected, and you have the right to sue me. If anyone ever saw your video, you can sue me, but you can't be prosecuted. Isn't that great? So he's like, and everyone's going to sue me anyway. I've already, been sued because of my journey or whatever. So, yeah, you'll have that piece too. Like maybe there'll be a legal component. And then there's like education, like, okay, well, this is how it works in terms of, how do I say it? It's what the sort of goals are for the replacement society, the one without war and all that stuff. The unit piece, when you're sort of interacting with new people, when you're be like the idea of your thoughts are being monitored by God, like directly. Being able to sit with that, understanding like sort of the transition from where your mind's at now as you watch this to where it will be like when you feel euphoria. There's sort of like that process, which is an extreme process, but it's best practices there. There's my piece, like the About Us definitely has like, okay, so here's the first version of this process where someone was sending in their footage. Here's all the footage. Here's like by category, theophany, miracles. Oh man, this is gonna be fucking sick. This is gonna be sick. Okay, theophany, miracles, coincidence, storyline, right? And then you get to see, this is the great part. So when you get a great story, as you're spending more time doing this on this website as a resource, but you're not spending a lot of time on the website, you're just using it as your what do you call it, like depository of videos. But when you have something that's good, when it reaches the point that it is what's the term, not divine. Yeah, divine, I don't know how to say it. When God, the one true God, and we're not getting into religion because I represent the imams and the priests and the pastors and the rabbis, like all those religions, I'm like, I'm your guy. This is going to be great. When that God says, boop, green light, this is a story worthy of me, he's going to show you his face. That'll be your theophany category. And when he shows you his face, you'll be changed in the twinkling of an eye. This is going to be fucking sick. And when you do, no one's going to believe you, okay? You have to understand this. And I'm not going to believe you unless you can prove to me with all the footage that you've gathered in your private account, you can show me the storyline. Then I'll judge. I will judge and say, green light, this person has been boop by God. Boop. And you'll never know what that feeling feels like unless you go through this process. And even though no one in the world would give a shit about all your damn footage and all your damn videos and all your story and your confessions and your coincidences, because you're just an average person like I am, we're going to watch it and give you the fair shake and say, at the end, I'll be like, green light, that, because you'll see the whole story leading up to, and then boom, your theophany. And the theophany is only going to count if you catch it on camera. And whatever storyline takes you from that first confession all the way to theophany, where you see the face of God changed in the twinkling of an eye, then we'll package it up and we'll present it as a new book of the millennial testament. The whole messianic era situation. But you're gonna have to convince me. And when you're filming, you're not trying to convince, you're not filming with the intent of convincing me. You're filming with the intent of God's seeing everything that I'm doing. And I'm capturing my journey. And I know someone's watching it, like on earth, because God's watching it in heaven. And what we're doing on earth is as it is in heaven. You see? We recreate that monitoring depository where it's seen in heaven, and we're recreating earth, heaven. We're making heaven on earth, and it's ordained by the one true God. And whichever, imam, priest, pastor, rabbi, how do I say this? Well, we don't need you anymore. But you can set up your own account too, How do I say this? We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the imams and rabbis and pastors and priests. I don't know, if you're in that category and you're, how do I say this? Whatever, you can set up your own account too, because we don't need you anymore. Although it was helpful, I'm sure, to have you to a degree to at least keep the message relevant. But we're done there. It's Messianic era time. Okay, so that'll be the theophany piece. You'll see his face. He'll be changed in the twinkling of an eye. And that's it. There it is. Oh, and the website will be Natasha Records. And why is it Natasha Records? Well, Natasha backwards is Satan. And Satan is the idea, it's the doubt that taking what's happening in heaven, monitoring us on earth and responding, taking that idea and applying it on earth as it is in heaven. Any doubt that that's possible, that's like Satan. Well, Natasha is the opposite. It's like the big fuck you to Satan. No doubt that this is possible. So it's such a great name. And, by coincidence, I also happen to know someone named Natasha. Anyway, and then the records part, it's, you would think, is it like a record label? Well, actually, the community, we love music. We absolutely do. And that's actually how my story kind of started. Well, that was Natasha. And anyway, but what's funny is the word record, it's a record of events, and what your private account is a record of events. So it's the fuck you to doubt. Here's the record of events. Because that one God exists. the God of Abraham. It's so sick. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the sketch out of NatashaRecords.com. It's a website or an app or something.